Welcome to Not So Silent. We'll say what you can't. We think we're right. I wouldn't bet on it. All right. If you are listening to us on Parler, please stick around. We got some great stuff, and we really appreciate everyone viewing this. We are blowing up like crazy, and I'm bringing the other. There you go. Yeah, you didn't think I'd bring you on. All right. So hopefully you guys enjoy the show. Share it with your friends. Pass it along on Parler, Twitter. Follow us at Not So Silent Pod on Parler, Twitter, and on Facebook.com/Not So Silent Pod. And go to our website, www.notsosilent.com, and you can enter your email, and we will send you our blogs and everything else. So we got a lot to cover today, as you can imagine. We have a ton of stuff. We are going to be talking an election update and the craziness going on with the potential fraud that happened. We're going to talk a little bit about our governors. Governor Cuomo did some funny stuff. He's an amazing, amazing person. COVID is fully back, and so are the lockdowns that come with it. Megyn Kelly takes her kids out of schools. We're going to talk a little bit about higher education and the liberal bias and the craziness that's going on there. We got some sports updates and our top 5, and we are going to do game shows in honor of Mr. Trebek and his passing. We're going to do top 5 game shows not named Jeopardy, because that will be our honorable, number 1. But all right, so let's get started. I'm Taylor Duncan in Nashville. I got Chris Herdigan in St. Louis, Sean Phelps in Kansas City. So let's get started. Let's talk about the election. So we will start with, as you guys know, we're kind of in our mid election show, as we're still waiting to figure out who is our president. CNN has already decided, because they are our God, and so they get to decide. I guess the media gets to choose it. But for those of us who actually follow the law, nothing has been certified yet, and we're still waiting. So we got some interesting stuff. I don't know if you guys saw what happened in Michigan yesterday, when some people in Wayne County, the major county where Detroit is, and it was a very heavily blue county, where there was some suspicion as to what happened. It was definitely sus, according to Among Us. And they went to go certify the votes there, and some Republicans said, no, not so fast. And then they were heavily threatened. In fact, some of it was under videotape, threatened by liberal progressives, even doxxed, had their houses put up on social media for people to go and threaten them. And they said racists live there and everything else. And 2 hours later, they said, never mind, we will certify it. What say you, Chris, about what's going on in Michigan?
Well, it's a shame that we don't have Republicans that stand on enough principle to stand up for themselves, on one hand. That being said, it's scary when your family's being threatened. You don't hear of this from the right, ever. And whenever I try to bring this up with somebody on the left, they just try to point to some other straw man argument, change the subject, and like, oh, well, Trump does this. And it's like, this should scare anybody on either side. The fact that somebody's going to threaten somebody's family because a vote might not go their way. Look, I get it. It seems whiny at times to the other side. It seems petulant that Trump is pursuing legal action, but he's doing everything according to the law. He is not a threat to our democracy. It is surprising to me that they're not letting this play out. It only adds suspicion. If they think they won the vote, which, again, I kind of believe they did, let it play out. Let there be no dispute. But now this is something that conservatives will point to for the next 4 years, saying there is still fraud, just people's families were threatened into being coerced. And the scary part is it doesn't stop there, because all you're doing is admitting guilt. They were called racist for their vote to not certify. And now it validates that threat that, oh, yeah, see, we told you it was racist. And so it only feeds this cancel culture.
So here's my question. What's a bigger danger to our democracy or threat to our democracy? A lawsuit to make sure that votes were counted correctly and by the Constitution, or when people don't follow what you want, you threaten them, you dox them online, you attack them personally, attack their family. That seems like a much larger threat to our democracy than following the laws of our democracy. Call me crazy, but I don't. Here's the thing that, again, and I'm going to keep saying this until I'm blue in the face. Why is the media not covering this? I know Fox News a little bit, Newsmax, and you're going to get the right wing is covering this. Why isn't this a story everyone's covering? Why isn't this something that CNN is covering, MSNBC? Because here's the problem, what no one is recognizing. And this is why I think people have to think in terms of common sense. What happens when the shoe is on the other foot, right? It's what happens when it's flipped. What happens when this happens to the left? The same thing as why it's separation of church and state. If you're a Christian, you have no problem as long as the church and state are Christian and the state work together. But what if it becomes Islam in the state, Buddhist in the state, and you don't want it? So you understand that just because your religion happens to be the most popular, you got to be careful that it enters, the schools and stuff, because that can be dangerous if it flips. So it's the same thing. You have to recognize we need a fair election, whether you're on the right or the left. But the bigger threats to our democracy are people who are saying things that Trump is doing as a threat to our democracy. That's crazy to me. That is trying to cancel out the legal rights and doing things the legal path by way of social media and by way of threats.
My concern is, when's it going to stop? You've got more Republicans by their very nature are family principled people. So they have families. Less Democrats have families, so they don't care what happens to your family, right? What is going to be the tipping point where somebody says, yeah, I'm scared for my family, but I'm more scared of what happens if I don't stand up at this point? And I think it's going to be something really acute and really vicious. I mentioned to you guys before the podcast, if your family was one of the families having mortars thrown at it while you're at a restaurant, you think your kids' lives are in danger and you conceal and carry, at what point is somebody just going to stand up, open fire, and just pop, kill 6, 7, 8 Antifa members, and boom, there we have the explosion. What's going to happen next? At some point, because as much as I try those guys for giving in, I don't know what I would have done in that position. I would be scared for my family too. So
yeah, and so what Chris is talking about, a lot of people haven't seen, is at the Million MAGA March on this past weekend, there was incredible amounts of violence heaved towards the people who were there, and it was a peaceful protest until they decided to show up, and Antifa decided to, people eating outdoors in DC or people walking with their kids back to their car were thrown to the ground or had fireworks thrown at them while they were eating. And if you watch these videos, it's terrifying. And I can understand if you were that parent with your 8-year-old child, you would be terrified for your child, because they weren't just yelling at you from a block away. They were shoving you, screaming in your face, megaphones. And then the people eating dinner had fireworks thrown at them. The fireworks was a shockingly dangerous situation. As anyone who watches sports knows, Jason Pierre-Paul lost 2.5 fingers from a fireworks accident, and now people are eating dinner and fireworks are just thrown at them. I don't know when it's going to stop. I will tell you, you know what might help it stop? If people like Barack Obama, instead of saying that, and I've said this now for 8 years, Barack Obama, the number one thing I cannot stand about this guy, I don't care, Obamacare, whatever, we can argue some policy. A black man was twice elected in our country, and every time there was any sort of racial divide, instead of standing up and saying, guys, stop, let's come together as a country, he divided us deeper and said, go protest, go peacefully protest. He encouraged it. And he's continuing to encourage it because he likes to watch the chaos and the destruction of our country instead of unifying our country, which is so sad and disappointing and disgusting, frankly. Right now would be a perfect time for a guy like him, who is heavily loved in this country, to come up and say, hey, Antifa or Black Lives Matter, I believe in Black Lives Matter. I do not believe in this. Stop this crap. But he hasn't. No. He's come out on 60 Minutes publicizing his 9 million page book that I can't imagine anyone's going to read.
They're continuing to divide us into identity groups. You had Ilhan Omar come out and say that Trump rallies are KKK rallies.
Klan
I didn't
rallies.
hear Klan rallies. I didn't hear anybody on the left denouncing that whatsoever. And so when you get these mobs that think every one of us that voted for Trump is a KKK member or a Klan member, that's a problem. They do not see an individual. They do not see a father, a mother, an uncle, like somebody with a family, and they think that they are denying Hitler from coming to power. The irony of which is the means of which they're doing it is totalitarian. It is Hitler-esque.
Yeah, and the good thing, though, here's the good thing about the American public, and I believe in them, is it's actually hurting them. As you saw, the black vote started to skyrocket for the right, and I think a lot of it is because they're waking up going, stop it. Stop it. Stop telling me this crap. I'm not buying it anymore. Stop it. You are now that you're sounding so nuts. I can't even buy into this. You don't even for 1 second sound like you're trying to help us. You are trying to put me in a group, and I refuse to, and I hate it. So a couple other things in this one. And by the way, to go back to that, I want some more people to denounce. There were some right-wing side of people who are going out doxing different election officials and so on. I think that crap's got to stop.
Has to.
I think it's got to stop on both sides. I think that's absurd and obnoxious. And I don't think anyone should have that level of vitriol, especially on a personal level, attacked at them. You want to attack them in their job, fire them, whatever. I still think is nuts, but you got to cut this crap out. Stop putting people's addresses and phone numbers and kids' schools and everything else posted online. That's ridiculous. And I don't think we need to create a law about it. That's just ridiculous. And you should be embarrassed if you're the one posting that kind of stuff or retweeting or echoing that stuff on Parler. So
is there any part of you that worries as Republicans still keep trying to play by the rules and Democrats don't, that all they're going to do is lose?
Yes.
Lose the culture war. So I don't want to fight fire with fire. I don't think that's the right answer, but what's going to happen if we don't at some point?
I don't know. I really hope that America is made up. What I believe and why our podcast, I think, is starting to skyrocket in views and everything else is because more people are like common sense, regular, dudes and girls who are just going, this just makes sense. Stop it, people. Let's have a fair election. If not, let's have some legal thing go on. And let's move on. So Trump's lawyer, Sidney Powell, keeps saying she has the smoking guns and isn't coming out with anything. Are you guys starting to get a little bit frustrated with this? Sean? No? You don't care, Chris?
I am. When I ask myself the question, who do I think is the winner? I still would bet on Biden. But there's a couple basic things I can't shake. That we took seats in the House, that we will likely win the Senate, and Trump got 70 million voters, and somehow Biden got way more votes than Barack Obama did. Those things don't make a lot of sense to me.
How about 27 House races were labeled toss-up or lean left, and all went right?
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't believe that many people voted against Trump and then down ballot voted Republican. I don't see that.
It's a little hard for me to believe. It's not.
Where's the evidence? Yeah, but where's the evidence? Like, there's some evidence in Georgia, right? There's some evidence in Nevada, but they're submitting lawsuits without evidence, and that's not going to work. You can't do that.
The problem is it takes time. Here's my thing is we're starting to find out a lot about this. And I know the big hot buzzword right now is Dominion, right? The Dominion voting system. And there is some really kind of scrupulous stuff about who is involved and who has ownership stakes of these voting systems, the software and hardware that goes into this. And who's involved, and you're starting to see pretty powerful Democrats or families of powerful Democrats having ownership stake, like Richard Bloom and so on, having 40% ownership stake of Avid. And you're starting to go, wait, that is a crazy conflict of interest that you have any part in voting software, any sort of it's bad enough if you have ties to big pharma or ties to other countries and things like that. But when you have ties to the software that decides if you or others in your party are elected, holy cow, that needs to be just the most gigantic red flag. And I don't think it's getting as much coverage as it should. My biggest fear, truthfully, is what's going to happen is, and think of it from the terms, let's assume for a second the Russian hoax was real, which it's not, but someone gets in because of their scrupulous stuff and it doesn't get found for a few years or longer. And it spends all its time in this, like Sidney Powell, I have all the stuff, but I'm not going to show it. And you saw it from the Mueller case against Trump, but then you saw the other side too, if we're going to be fair and go, the Durham case turned up nothing either. We had 4 years of people saying they had all of this amazing stuff on both sides. Both of them came up totally empty. And that feels like the swamp to me. It just does. I'm sorry. It just feels like
more things that are going to suck is Trump did such a good job getting now 2 vaccines out. The economy is going to recover. and Biden's going to take credit for it when it was all Trump that did that.
100%. And I do believe, so now we're going to get into something, and I think we're going to have some good conspiracy theories popping up from this section. We're going to talk about COVID. So COVID has kind of, it went away for a while, and then COVID popped back up. So COVID has really, really, really become the main story outside of the election right now. Lockdowns and shutdowns are happening like it was March all over again. Pennsylvania just announced in their latest lockdown, you have to wear a mask in your house. If you have anyone now, to be fair, if you have anyone in your house that's not part of your household, you have to wear a mask in your home. Schools are pretty much shut everywhere. And Sean, can you pull up the email you got from Johnson County schools? Because I found that to be really interesting. Their statement, and if you could quote their statement as to why they shut the middle school and high school down, I think it'd be really, really important to read the Johnson County, which is the wealthier suburban county of Kansas City in Kansas. What did they state about why they're locking down their schools and why they are not, or one of the reasons that is not the reason for locking down their schools?
Yeah, the reason it is not. So this is, they announced that remote learning will take place for middle school and high school for the remainder of the fall semester, effective immediately, which they have to give a 2-week notice. So essentially 2 weeks, the middle and high school students are done for the semester. They're going to learn at home. And they made it really clear in the email that it was not because not because COVID was spreading in the schools, not because of the students, but because they do not have the staff due to quarantines and COVID cases within the faculty. They just do not have enough staff. Teachers have quit. They don't have enough subs. And when teachers have to quarantine, they can't teach their class. They need a sub. They don't have the faculty to do it. So it's
not only faculty, but because of the rise in the community. And bars, restaurants, and gyms are being shut. So here's my question. This is my big question. Why is this happening? Because we all theorized, and a lot of people theorized, come November 4th, everything would open up and the virus would be gone. That hasn't happened. In fact, we've gone right back to totalitarian government, shutting us down completely, telling us to not spend time with our family over Thanksgiving. All of these types of things are popping up all across the country, specifically in mostly the heavier blue states. Why is it happening? Because it's not for the election. It's not to win the election, although they used it to win the election or potentially win the election. So, Chris, why do you theorize they're doing it? And
I'll go full conspiracy on you. I think it's pretty clear to me that the Democratic Party is weaponizing this. I don't think it's as insidious as they created this virus for this purpose, but they're certainly using it to achieve their goals. What I mean by that is when you see people like Gavin Newsom hosting parties with more people than he said are legally allowed, when they're taking trips to do conferences with each other in groups that he says are not allowed in his own state, clearly he is willing to take the risk and does not feel COVID is as much of a threat. You also saw the Nancy Pelosi thing and the hairdresser thing. They are clearly not that afraid of this, and they want to hold us to a different standard than they do. I think they're now seeing it as an opportunity for this great reset. I think that the World Economic Forum, this is not a conspiracy, by the way, they published an article about this in Time Magazine. So this idea of the great reset, one of their ideas is that you will no longer own anything and you'll be happy. You have people like Dr. Fauci saying it's time to sit down and do what you're told, America. This is really dangerous stuff. I think this is politically a way for them to fundamentally change the country.
Yeah, my conspiracy theory was going to fall with that, is that socialism is not dead in their minds. And this is the greatest, simplest way to force people into a socialized society and basically create government necessity in your life.
Bankrupt everybody. Yeah, they will have to rely on the government, right?
If you ruin everyone's life, and the only way that you can survive, because the government has said we're not going to allow you to get evicted, we're not going to allow you to lose your home, so in mortgages, we're not going to allow this, but we're also not going to allow you to work. So what's going to happen? How does this work? Because if we keep shutting you down, well, then you have no choice but to beg for our stimulus package because we're not going to let you work. And if you try to fight us to work, like happened in my former hometown up in Chicagoland, where the restaurants refused and just stayed open, they just got fines for every day they were open, to the point of where they couldn't afford the fines anymore. They had to close. So they're just, the government overreach has become obnoxious. I think what you're going to start to see, and we've already seen it, and I've been saying it for a while, you're going to see mass exodus out of these places. Tennessee, Sean, just to give you mine, our school board met yesterday and came out and unequivocally said we are going to stay open in our county. Although some schools are closed due to not having staff through Thanksgiving, we are going to stay open because we have not seen even though they said anything above 0.5% active cases in the community, we would revisit it. They didn't say they would shut. They did, because we're at 0.7 in Williamson County. They came out and said, logically, the school doesn't have a larger caseload than the world around it. The school isn't causing the transmissions. Keep it open, which is my belief is the most important activity that the government handles for us right now is schools. It's not garbage collection. It's not roads. It's none of that. It is schools and safety. I want the police force and firemen out there protecting us. And I need the schools to teach our kids and get my kids out of school, out of the house, so that we have the ability to go work, and now I can work from home, but many people can't. And yet the government is saying, no, we'll pick up your trash for you. No. I'll take it to the dump. I will drive my garbage to the dump. Can you please just educate my children? No, we're not going to do that. That's not essential. But we'll do the street sweeping. We'll fix the roads and the potholes, but we're not going to teach your kids. That's crazy to me. And I'm trying to figure out why, because I don't for one second think Pritzker and Newsom and Cuomo are just trying to save lives. I don't buy it, because we've seen the lockdowns don't work. We did lockdown and we're back here. They don't work. They are not going to save the world. There are other measures that could potentially save the world that we might need to think about. But I'll tell you what, a full-scale lockdown and shutting down schools is not the answer.
You know what's coming next? In Denmark, they passed a law requiring mandatory vaccination.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I am certain once the vaccine is able to be gathered, once you can get it, kids will not be allowed in school unless they have the COVID vaccine. Many people won't be allowed at work unless they have proof that they have the vaccine.
I think that's unconstitutional, but the Democrats are trying to destroy our Constitution or remake America.
I mean, we're going to get to that place where you have to get the vaccine. I mean, it has become so draconian, and I've never been someone who's like anti-government. I know, Sean, you're pretty libertarian. I've never been like so anti-government, but I'm getting to that point where I'm going, the government overreach is crazy. It's obnoxious. And I'm now becoming more and more fearful of the government and what they're going to start to tell us we have to do, or we can't live. Now, I get it. These are
all. Have you guys seen the flu map yet?
No.
So you should check out the CDC's website. I found somebody turned me onto this. Is really interesting, and it's a map that shows you the level of flu in the community, and every single state in the country right now is in green, except for Iowa.
I see it.
For flu stats right now. So very low activity with the regular flu.
I heard that about a month ago. People were saying, even though it's early flu season, they typically would have had 10,000 cases or 1,000 cases, and they had 12. And it was one of those where it was way off the charts low relative to the last 20 years that they've been keeping data or whatever. And it's starting to point to signs of this is now where I'm starting to wonder. And we talked about this in the last podcast. Elon Musk got 4 tests done. 2 came back positive, 2 came back negative. And he said, this is bogus. And guess what they did? Guess what America did? Twitter did. Twitter came out and now call him Space Karen because they don't like his take on things. So the only thing we can do is make fun of him. Right?
Good luck with that. Push him to the right. There are so many liberals that don't have a place to go right now, like traditional liberals that are like, the left is absolutely crazy, but I'm not a conservative. So what do I vote for at this point? Go ahead, push him to the right. We'll take him.
Yeah, I'll take Elon Musk because he's a genius. He just sent people to the International Space Station this past week.
Ted, to give you a sense of how extreme the flu data is, in week 45, which is the most recent week posted, there were 19,439 flu tests done. So these are sick people that might have the flu, and their doctor or they have chosen to get a flu test. How many of those do you think would be positive out of nearly 20,000 people tested for the flu?
What's the normal rate?
Yeah.
What's our baseline?
I'll have to get back to you on the exact number. Looks like according to some of the charts and graphs, it's typically in the 25 to 50% range.
I was gonna say 5 to 5,000. I don't know.
Week 45 there were 6.
Oh!
That's outrageous.
So does the coronavirus destroy the flu virus?
So yeah, is it going to cancel out the flu? Oh.
Do you want to get coronavirus to kill the flu?
Oh, hot take.
You heard it here first.
Go ahead and check out the charts and data I just sent you.
Hot take. Getting coronavirus better than getting the flu shot.
Killing a virus with a virus. It sounds a lot like, electing Trump to kill the Democrats. Maybe China, that's all they were doing is manufacturing the ultimate flu vaccine, and that's how coronavirus was created.
Yeah.
They might have saved the world.
All right, so let's talk about Governor Cuomo. He's a good guy. Seems like he's totally on the up and up. He only thinks about people. How about Cuomo getting a $25,000 raise? Anyone hear this? Governor Cuomo just got a $25,000 raise. I think
that's not enough. I thought he should get at least $1 for every person he murdered, sending back to a retirement home. Should have been 200,000.
Yeah, that would have been 11,000. There was 11,000 that have been linked to him from sending him back to.
Okay. Well, then you got paid adequately for that.
Yeah, so he got roughly $2 per person that he killed.
Professional murderers are expensive. I think that's a bargain.
I just find this to be the most tone deaf. Let's just say for a second it was already scheduled. The $25,000 raise was going to happen in 2021 or whatever it is. Wouldn't you, if you're Governor Cuomo and you have plenty of money, wouldn't this be the perfect time to come out with a press release and go, I don't want any of this money? Like, I'm supposed to get this raise, but I'd rather that money go to COVID research.
If only we had a leader that gave away his full salary to the people or to charity every single quarter. Wouldn't that be something?
But we've never had anything like that, have we, Chris?
I don't know what's more impressive, him being able to blow himself and smell his own farts really easily, or sorry, is that going to be scrapped? Or no, we're going to get God, I mean, what a fart sniffer, man. That guy just, poops into a champagne glass and just drinks it in. Like, man, does that smell good? Oh, my farts smell great.
On top of that, here's the good news. He has come out and said that the vaccine is likely moving too fast because of money and ego. So because Trump wanting money and ego, that's why it came out so fast. How stupid is this guy? Does he not realize it came out 2 days after the media called the election for Biden? You didn't think maybe the announcement came too slow? You thought it came too fast. Oh, okay. Boy, you're truly an idiot. I mean, here's the thing. I really think these guys are racing to be the worst governors because we have Newsom, who's like horrible in California. We have Pritzker, who's outrageous in Illinois. We have Cuomo in New York. Who's the worst of the three? It's Cuomo.
I gotta say Cuomo because he's so outspoken. He's so self-aggrandizing and sucks so much.
He makes posters. He makes posters of himself as beating COVID, and he has 3 times the amount of deaths of any other state.
I am hoping though. So Kamala Harris said if Trump says to take the vaccine, she won't take it. Biden said he will. I hope Trump just continues to say, Kamala, you should take the vaccine. Please take the vaccine.
You know what I think?
It's a better chance of a new VP.
The sad thing is, I think Biden probably, if he wasn't such a puppet and a politician, he probably is not as bad a person, but he's become just a complete puppet for the liberal.
He has not taken any opportunity to moderate whatsoever. He has not, denounced
Some of his picks that he's saying for his cabinet have pissed off the progressives because they're not progressive enough. So a little bit of a debate on is he going to moderate when it comes to stuff like that?
Yeah.
Which I guess Clinton had done as well.
Yes, that made Clinton a pretty decent president, actually.
Yeah. So then you have the governor in Texas, Abbott. Then you have DeSantis in Florida, who have showed really strong. Here's a crazy thing. Let me ask you a quick question, Sean, without looking it up. Who is our Secretary of State?
Oh, I knew this. I know this. I would have to look it up.
Chris, who's our Secretary of State? Okay, it's Mike Pompeo. So here's the interesting reason why I asked this. I was thinking about this morning. I wanted to challenge you guys because you're pretty intelligent guys, pretty in the know. As you know, we're very in the know at this podcast, Not So Silent. And isn't it remarkable that we could name like 5 or 10 governors not in our state, but we can't name our Secretary of State? What is that? Endemic of? Doesn't that just scream at you? Because the Secretary of State is primarily foreign affairs, that we know way more about what's happening here because the U.S. is fighting amongst itself way more than we're dealing with stuff going on in other countries.
That is interesting. I'll tell you a problem that we have in Missouri. Our governor is pro open everything up, but we've got these county executors that are trying to shut everything down that are Democrats. And I don't understand who has the power. Apparently these county executors do. And like, it's very confusing, but they're the ones that are threatening everything and threatening fines for people opening up.
But I think if you went on the street and asked who the governor of New York is, governor of California, governor of Illinois, governor of Florida, most people would know their names really quick.
Yeah.
But if you ask who the Secretary of State is, they would go, I have no idea. I don't have the slightest clue. Because we're not talking about what's going on in the Middle East, what's going on in Syria, what's going on, us versus Russia. Where is Pompeo going? What meetings is he at, etc. We're talking about all of our governors and the infighting going on here because, like I said, the next war we're going to get into, it feels more likely to be a civil war than it does a war with another country. So, all right, so let's move into some fun stuff. Sean, you got some sports news for us. What's going on in the world of sports?
Yeah, so in the sports world, tonight is the NBA draft. The Timberwolves have the number 1 pick. Chris, are they taking equality or education reform with the top pick?
Well, in the spirit of our late Jeopardy host, I would say I'll take shit I don't care about for 500.
Really?
NBA draft tonight. You have LaMelo Ball.
I could care less about those American-hating douchebags.
They're not all. You've got LaMelo Ball, the youngest Ball brother, and big baller brand, LeVar Ball back on the scene. So I'm excited to see what LeVar Ball thinks about tonight's draft. You got the Warriors with the number 2 pick. So they can prognosticate here on, do you guys think the Warriors will win another championship with their current core?
No.
I will predict that they will say that owners all have a plantation mentality and that everyone is racist if they don't get picked sooner than they wanted.
I like Chris's prognostication. And I would take Black Lives Matter over education reform. He's got a better deep 3. But that's just me, and watching him play in college, and equality, he defends the rim as well as anyone, but he really is not, he's not a scoring threat.
Yeah, but the double negatives get confusing when he's communicating on the court. So you might want to go education on that.
So Warriors winning another title? Yes or no?
No.
I'll take a yes. Steph Curry in the MVP discussion this year, back from injury. Yes or no?
No.
Don't care.
I'll take a yes. I'll take a yes. So that's what's going on. In the NFL, you got Dez Bryant and Antonio Bryant are back in the NFL. Both of them.
Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown. Antonio Bryant used to be a Bucs receiver. Antonio Brown is the current Bucs receiver. So you got both of them back in the NFL. Kind of reminded me, we haven't had a lot of NFL news about player suspensions lately. We haven't had the Josh Gordon, Ray Rice type situations in a while. So why are NFL players not getting in trouble?
Not hitting their wives anymore, their girlfriends?
Yeah.
Maybe they are, but they just get put on the COVID list. Hot
Yeah,
take.
the media is probably just not reporting on it, or the wives are realizing, they could win the court case, but then they lose all the money. So it's not worth it.
Oh, there you go.
So what team is leading the NFL in fine dollars this year?
Dallas Cowboys. I have no idea.
Chicago Bears.
No, it's actually the Kansas City Chiefs. $868,000. One fine. I got to know what this guy did. Bashan Breeland in the corner. Substance abuse fine for $713,000.
That must have been a good.
That was a good night. Yeah.
That was a great night.
I wish I was at that party.
Vic Beasley for the Tennessee Titans fined $500,000 for a missed workout during the preseason.
Oh, well, I guess you teach them a lesson, I guess. All right. So who's, Chris, in terms of who's your odds on favorite right now? Is it the Chiefs or the Steelers?
Why are we talking about that when we got Jameis Winston starting for the Saints this weekend? We could talk about touchdown to interception ratio.
3-1.
I'll take 3-3 in a push.
Yeah.
I picked him up in a fantasy league. Are you starting him over Matt Stafford?
Yes.
Yes.
I am too. Yeah.
All day, every day.
Stafford's been solid, but yeah.
All day.
Saints and Falcons usually have quite the shootout games. It's gonna be a high scoring affair.
I'm gonna have to say Steelers. I gotta go with defense. I mean, they're watching the Ravens lose to the Patriots is stunning. I'm gonna go with the defense wins championships things. If Roethlisberger stays healthy, I like the Steelers' chances. And I like Ben's turnaround morally, and I like Mike Tomlin, so I'm okay with that as a win. Although I have nothing against the Chiefs either.
For this next section on the NFL, we're gonna exclude the NFC East. The NFC East, if you haven't already noticed, is irrelevant this year in the NFL. Okay, so just any NFL discussion, ignore them completely. Which team with a winning record right now won't make the 7-team playoffs? Keep in mind, 7 teams in the playoffs. So you've got the Bills, the Dolphins, the Chiefs, the Raiders. The Steelers, we'll pick one in each conference. Steelers, Ravens, Browns, Colts, and Titans in the AFC. Which team won't make the playoffs?
Browns.
Ooh, I'm just starting in the NFC West. That's tough.
No, we're talking about the AFC, the Browns.
Oh, the AFC. Ooh, Dolphins.
Okay. I got Browns.
I'll take the Raiders. We'll keep it interesting. We all have a different pick. Which team with a losing record is most likely to make the playoffs in the AFC? The Patriots, Broncos, Bengals, Texans, Jaguars. Man, the AFC's losing teams are real bad. The Patriots are about the only one that have a chance.
Patriots.
Yeah, the Patriots is the only one.
Again, the Patriots.
Yeah. Well,
that's it. We're all Patriots there.
Pretty much. That's pretty much it, man.
We're split on who's going to miss the playoffs, but we all agree on that one.
All right.
On the NFC, you've got ignore the NFC East. It's irrelevant. You've got teams with a winning record: Cardinals, Rams, Seahawks, Packers, Saints, Bucks. If the season ends today, all of them make the playoffs, but which one won't?
Most likely Saints, because you lost Drew Brees, and I think he might be gone for the regular season.
But they're already 7-2. You need about 2 or 3 wins to be in the top 7.
I'm going to say the Rams miss.
Really? The Rams?
Yeah.
They just beat the Seahawks too.
I know.
All right.
You're going Rams?
Going Rams.
I'm going to take the Seahawks to not make the playoffs. They probably will. I think all of these teams in the NFC will. But if one didn't, I'll take the Seahawks. And then any losing teams besides in the NFC East, because one of them will, unfortunately, that you see making the playoffs. You got the 49ers, the Bears at 500, Vikings and Lions, Falcons and Panthers. I'm going to go Vikings have the best shot of those teams.
Yeah, Vikings most likely.
I'm going Bears.
Yeah, I've been burned so many times.
The worst 5-1 team. What was our bet? What was the bet and how many wins they need to get? Because I'm still confident.
I think it was 8 wins.
It was 8 wins.
Looking pretty grim. What's our schedule look like coming up?
It's not good.
Bears need 3 more wins. Let's map it out real quick. We got.
Let's not because I don't think the viewers care that much. Let's do Gambler's Corner.
I don't care if they care. I care. Phelps, tell us who we got next.
You got the Packers. That's a loss for the Bears.
We have the Packers twice.
You got the Packers twice. So
we can beat the Lions, the Texans, and the Vikings, and the Jags. We can beat all 4 of those. That's 4 wins. That's 9. That's 9 and 7. Probably is not going to get us a playoff berth.
Good luck. I think you can lose to the Texans. I think you can lose to the Vikings again. I think you can lose to the Lions.
I think we can take one from the Packers.
I think we could take one from the Packers. Just historically, we've somehow played them better than other
Time
teams.
to throw down. So, if the Bears sweep the Packers versus the Packers sweep the Bears, if it's 1-1, we get a push. What do you guys want to throw down?
Nothing. That's the dumbest. Why would we bet anything?
So give me 10-1.
Yeah.
Oh, so you want to win if you split, and I only lose if I only win if Packers sweep.
That's still
more. That's more fair, but
it's closer.
Wow. Well, first of all, you just admitted the Bears are an inferior team. So
When
did we not admit that?
Well, I appreciate you guys finally owning that. What's the bet?
Hang on. Bears are a better franchise just this year.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Just as long as we're clear about that.
So I'll send you a jersey to wear for a week.
Sure. I will piss on it and not wear it.
What's worse, wearing a Packers jersey for a week or wearing a Biden-Harris shirt?
I
think Taylor would rather wear the Packers jersey.
No,
Biden-Harris is absolutely worse.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Could I get you a customized NFL
I'd rather support
Packer jersey?
I'd rather support more accurate Jay Cutler than
like number 20 for 2020, and it's a Biden Packer custom jersey.
I don't think there's a bet in the world where I have the chance of wearing a Biden-Harris shirt that I would be willing to even make. I don't care how good the odds are. It could be Manny Pacquiao versus an infant, and I still wouldn't take the bet just in case.
Che Guevara shirt.
Yeah, absolutely. I would take that over any day.
Same
Che Guevara is far less dangerous to our country. All right. So the Gambler's Corner, we have tomorrow night's game, Cardinals, Seahawks. Seahawks are giving 3. So Cardinals are getting 3 points. Who do you got?
I'm taking the Cardinals.
I got Cardinals. Who do you got, Sean?
Bounce back.
Cardinals.
All right. What do you mean bounce back? They won last week on a Hail Mary.
Barely.
But they won, so I don't know what kind of bounce back.
The defensive bounce back.
All right, Sean, you got some serious or satire for us? This is where
I do. Yeah, I'm trying to keep it current. We got some new things going on just in the last 2 weeks. So thousands of fact checkers and poll workers filed for unemployment in the past 2 weeks after they were wrong about the election and when they realized the media will not want to fact check Biden. Serious or satire?
Satire.
Satire.
Totally satire. Yeah, that's
all right. Here's another current one. Unprecedented number of student loan applications filed the first 2 weeks of November with hopes of student loan forgiveness on the horizon.
God, I hope that's satire.
Serious.
That one made you think, but that was satire. Not a bad idea, though. If you need,
I want to get off on a tangent for a second. This whole, we're going to forgive $10,000 in loans for all student loans. What kind of horse crap is this? Like, I mean, I
put you in a win-win spot here.
It's more accurate to say,
says, don't do it. The $50,000 in student loan debt I have says, absolutely, I'll take the free.
If you worked your ass off and paid off your loans, you're a sucker. If you went into a trade and didn't go to college, you're a sucker. Like, I hate everything about that. And I thought Shapiro had a great suggestion, which is why not make the institutions take a hit?
No. That was hang on. That was my suggestion, and Shapiro stole it. Absolutely.
But who did you steal it from? You stole it from the Fox guy. What was his name?
No.
Lauren, you stole it from Lauren Green, I'm sure.
No.
You talked about the endowments. We talked about that last time. Chris doesn't watch the show. All right. European Parliament voted to allow veggie burgers to be called either burger, steak. So veggie meat alternatives can legally use meat-like terms like burgers and steak. Serious or satire?
Satire.
That's satire because they would totally not.
100% serious. They did. I can't believe they're voting on it. And like, who cares? Like, why is the government saying what you can call it or not? Like, it's ridiculous. While we're on the topic of voter fraud, there was some voter fraud revealed in the New Zealand Bird of the Year competition when 1,500 votes overnight came in from the same email address for the kiwi.
It's got to be serious.
Satire.
It is serious. The kakapo is now in the lead once those votes were invalidated. And last one, while we're on bird news, a pigeon sold last week by a Belgian trainer for $1.9 million.
Serious.
Serious. I don't know enough about why or how. Apparently, I should have gone to college for pigeons and gotten my student loans forgiven.
All right.
Did you hear about the new bird Biden wants to recommend instead of the bald eagle? It's a shout out to the middle class. You only get that if you're on YouTube, guys.
How about this one? Pope Francis's Instagram account appears to like bikini model's photo.
I'll say serious.
Oh, he's human. Serious?
It is serious. That was reported in the New York Post, and it is a very, very racy. This is the photo that he liked for those of you on YouTube.
There's not a bikini
it's
model.
It's not even like a Spanish pole vaulter, like where it's slightly subtle. Oh, I like the athletics. It's the competition. It's like, Jesus, man. He understands the
schoolgirl uniform.
He understands the socials about as well as Taylor. Yeah.
I guess he might have got hacked.
Yeah.
How about this one? Dog owners who walk pooches at higher risk of contracting COVID-19.
Serious.
Satire.
That is serious. That was in the New York Post, and many other publications are reporting on a study that found that people who walk their dogs are getting COVID at a much higher rate.
Hold on a second. That's New York. That's where homeless people spit in your face for no reason. So, I get that.
No. This the dog owners who walk their pooches are 78% more likely to come down with COVID-19.
That sounds like the most asinine study.
Well, it's a new study, and it doesn't.
People who like ice cream are 80% more likely to be transgender at the age of 6.
Yeah, I agree. How about this one? New study reveals masks don't work.
That's an old study, isn't it?
Actually, no, a brand new study out of Denmark, and it was a pretty large randomized study, found that people who wore the mask got COVID 2.1% of the time. People that didn't got it 1.8% of the time, which according to the study in the Annals of Internal Medicine, I thought Annals was an interesting.
That's the best part of the story.
Annals.
We're going with
It is
Annals.
definitely Annals, but that's a deep study. Yeah.
See what I did there with my.
It's got a dark path.
So
kind of crappy news.
In the annals of
and the chocolate starfish internal news.
No, this is serious. They came out.
Uranus News has said that masks are no longer.
That's basically what we do, folks. Turn the serious into satire. All right, let's get to the top 5.
All right, top five. We got top 5. It's not game show hosts, Sean. It's game shows not named Jeopardy. Top 5
game show
hosts not named Jeopardy. Game shows not named Jeopardy. All right. So we will start with Sean. You first.
Number 5, Tony Reale, Around the Horn.
Stupid pick.
Satire? That's not your number 5, right?
That's
absolutely. You can't turn it off. You can't turn it off.
Yeah, I can.
It's a more repetitive version of PTI, which is already liberal crap now.
But it's so fast paced. Like, it's just, you just get that 1.5 minutes and you're on to the next. It's a great show.
All right, it sucks. My number 5, Match Game. Good old school. Watch it on TV Land.
Okay, that wasn't much better. My My number 5 is way better, and not for the reasons you think. It's Wheel of Fortune. More because of Vanna White. I mean, she is responsible for the coming of age of so many youths, myself included. I mean, that's when it turned into a scratch, which turned into a
Hey, all right, we're good.
session. Yeah,
I do like the Wheel of Fortune board memes with 1 or 2 missing letters and the funny answers. Those
South Park had one of the funniest plays in Wheel of Fortune ever, where it was like N blank GGERS, and it's like people that annoy you, and the guy. It was naggers, but he said, the wrong word.
Yeah. All right. Chris, you're number 4.
Okay. My number 4 is a little known show called The Joe Schmo Show. This is back when The Bachelor was like super popular. I guess it's still pretty popular.
Oh, I remember that.
They did the show where only one contestant was real and the rest were actors playing a role. And the best was at the end when they did their they had plates that they would break if they got voted off the show, and they'd say, "Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. You're dead to us." I guess
that was actually a pretty good show.
That was pretty funny.
All right, my number 4, another classic game show, Press Your Luck.
That's a great one. Great pick.
All right, Sean.
My number 4. My first one was sports. My second one sports. Pros versus Joes.
I was going to name that. That was a great show where they had regular Joes go out there and compete to see if they could beat the pros. That was a good one. All right, Sean, you're number 3.
My number 3. I don't know if you count this as a game show, but there was technically a winner, and the host is amazing. Bob Saget, America's Funniest Home Videos.
Yeah, I consider that a game show.
Yeah. All right.
It's more funny when you've heard his stand-up and realize how tempered he is for that show.
Oh yeah. When you know the 2 sides of him, and then it really was like the internet before the internet.
His segues and puns were awful.
You're right, Sean. That's a good point. He was YouTube before YouTube, or he was TikTok before TikTok. All right.
TikTok's more like hot girls dancing without bras now, pretty much.
Is it?
That is maybe because of the videos you've watched. It kind of.
Hey, look, I just follow the Pope and just watch what he watches. Okay, it's not my fault.
Learned your patterns of behavior and.
All right. So it's my number 3. It was amazing at how this brought back video games to prime time. And it was kind of like, I remember when it came out and everyone was wondering if we could ever beat it. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
That's a good show.
I'm gonna have to go to one of my backups because that was one of the last shows I remember like everybody getting on and actually watching with Regis. Yeah. That was good. That was really good. You got Slumdog Millionaire out of it, which was, a thing with that song. All
right, number 3.
Some people did something. My number 3, right?
Yep.
Okay, this was one of the most interesting and frustrating shows of my past, but I couldn't stop watching. It's Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Great show.
The game seemed so cool, but the end thing was like impossible to win. I don't recall anybody actually winning it, although I do think somebody maybe did once. That was a great Nickelodeon game show.
Okay. My number 2, Hollywood Squares. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. They're so old and lame.
Well, they've got the pyramid now, which is kind of similar. And like, it's actually a funny show. If you watch the whole thing, it can just, it's funnier when you're older and you get all the sexual jokes they make, they're like all sexual. You're younger, like, I don't get it.
Because back then they used to say stuff that was totally not PC today, but it was hilarious. And actually Match Game was even better. I mean, the host would just flat out flirt with every person on there. And like, he was smoking during it. I mean, it was pretty awesome. All right, Sean.
Number 2, Ted Allen, Chopped.
Ooh.
That sounds okay.
It's probably the game show I've seen the most episodes of.
Okay.
It's not amazing, but I watch it all the time. It's kind of you're like, oh, here, I'll just wait till the next commercial.
Well, isn't that what Jeopardy was, right? It's like, I understand the format. I will watch this for 30 minutes.
Jeopardy, you tried to win and then you realized how stupid you were because you only got like 2 of them right, but you always said, oh, I knew that. And you're like, I would have gotten them all right had I been smarter. No, just me. Okay. All right, Sean,
number 1. Kind of what I was about Chopped. I could have cooked that too. My number one is controversial, maybe. I don't know. People don't like him very much, but Guy Fieri, Minute to Win It. I really enjoyed that show.
Haven't seen it. Is that a sex show?
It's a Minute to Win It?
Is that a sex show or is it a cooking show?
No.
Or?
It's you have all kinds of crazy things you got to do, like
oh, I know what you're talking about now.
You know, flip cup. There was ping pong balls. There was household crap, popsicle sticks. You know, straws, whatever.
So it's not a sex show then. I'm not interested.
I've got some honorable mentions that Chris loves when I do this.
Not yet. We got to finish the whole thing first, okay? You're number one. Stop wasting everybody's time.
My number one, and I want to say
two. Aren't we at number two?
No,
you're just behind.
No, I'm on.
We're supposed to snake draft it because I didn't do my two.
All right, who's your two?
I think it's kind of boring. Price is Right, Bob Barker. It's a classic.
All right, good. All right, so that was fine. I'm glad it got named because it needs to be on one of our lists. All right, my number one was a fantastic. I don't know if game show is the right term. Boiling Point. It was like the original show to see like how long did it take for you to become a Karen, right? It was like can you hold off being a Karen for like 8 minutes, 9 minutes, 3 minutes?
Yeah.
And Sandra made it 35 seconds. That's my wife. All right.
I'm happy to know that my number one has all of you guys beat, and you didn't even think of it. There is a loser of this show, not so much a winner, and it's Impractical Jokers.
Who's in my?
That's a great show. I wanted that on my list. All right, honorable mentions. At Midnight was really good. Stump the Schwab, loved that show. Cash Cab.
Cash Cab was great, and who wants to Win Benstein's Money?
I did like Win Benstein's money. Who's going to win my money?
Fear Factor. We got some Joe Rogan fans in there. No one mentioned Fear Factor. Singled Out, Supermarket Sweep, which is coming back. So
I'm curious. I don't have a subscription to Playboy Channel, but are there good game shows on there? Because those would be.
Oh, there's a good ring toss one.
Who's in my mouth? It was a fantastic show.
Minute to Win It is on there too.
The Annals of Playboy is another one.
Oh, spice! All right, on that.
Who you guys tabbing to take Trebek's place? Who's your pick?
As long as it is not someone who's in the world of politics or news media like George Stephanopoulos, I don't care.
I'll go Charlie Sheen.
RuPaul.
Caitlyn Jenner.
Nice.
Everyone else upset that RuPaul's invading your Christmas Target ads because I that's what I want when I go to shop at Target. Like, oh, transgender cross-dressing males. Yeah, I'm gonna go shop and buy that lamp at Target. Oh yeah, give me more of that. Will it be, sweetheart? A pillow, a lamp, some groceries while you're here? Come and shop Christmas wear.
All right. On that note, thanks, RuPaul, for being our guest today. All right. On that, we are done for the day. Oh, wrong person.
Chris was surprisingly good at that, by the way.
Yeah, Chris, you do have a great transvestite voice. All right. We're done for the day, November 18th. I hope you guys enjoy it. Share this, post this on Parler or Facebook or your Twitter feed or Instagram.
I don't know what they're called.
All right. And follow us at Not So Silent Pod, or go to notsosilent.com, put in your email, and we will spam you with a bunch of crap. I promise. All right. Goodbye. So Rome definitely plays with his lizard during school. Kind of a Jeffrey Toobin thing.
Well, then it'll change colors eventually. He might turn purple.
It's kind of a Blue Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, depends on the environment he's in. Yeah.
He's so young, though. That probably doesn't really change colors.
Oh, he moves about as fast as Biden. Live footage of Biden coming out of his basement to talk about a policy. Great reset. No private property. What's that, AOC? Okay, I'll say that.
Build back better.
Gosh.
There's got to be a Green New Deal joke with the chameleon.
Oh, yeah. How did I miss that? How did I miss that one? Oh, man.